made today on a senator. Let's start with Steve Berkowitz. They had yet more, and I'm sorry, but I want to get a pillow and take a nap, but there are NIL hearings again today. Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, says that absent congressional action, he thinks Division II and III schools will get rid or get out of college sports without some sort of help when it comes to NIL. Do you believe that?
No. I think that's fatal. I think that's fatalistic talk.
Why would Division III get out of it when they're non-scholarships anyway?
I mean, the thing is that their employee base, so to speak, is guys who aren't getting offered money to go play college sports. I mean, now, granted, if you make it a rule that you have to make them all employees, then maybe. But I do think that there would have to be some new, that's part of the problem is that we're not good at nuance as Americans or maybe as human beings, but there's got to be some nuance in the rule that acknowledges the differences between the levels of college athletics. That's part of the problem with Title IX in that it hasn't recognized the differences between an 85 scholarship sport like football and everything else, and a sport that makes money much like everything else. And so you're trying to count one for one when maybe that's not a fair way to grade it, because football lives in a realm outside of everything else. It's so different than everything else. It's different than baseball and all that. So I think that's a little bit of fatalistic talk. I think they'd find a way, but that also speaks to don't just pass any bill that has the 2-3 things that you want it in the most. Pass the best thing that works for everyone. The problem is we're not dealing with the best and brightest that we've ever had in Washington right now.
And, Craig? Okay, St. Joseph's AD Jill Bodensteiner, a witness at the hearings today, asked an important question. This is from Ross Delinger. Why are all the NCAA athletes in jeopardy of becoming employees based largely on the issues of just one sport?
Yes, good question, Jill. Like I just said, football is different. It needs to be treated different. And maybe men's basketball is different and it needs to be treated different. And maybe women's basketball is starting to become different and you can treat it differently. But outside of that, I mean, I'm failed to seeing where the college model is not working.
Are there even hearings if this wasn't football?
No.
No, of course not.
No.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, she asked an excellent question.
Here's one more from Ross. Ole Miss Collective Director Walker Jones on collectives and recruiting. We do not participate in the recruiting process. That is best left to the coaches and athletic departments under the strict watch of the NCAA. Do you believe him?
I mean, I might believe him individually that he doesn't. I don't know, he might have a reason to lie or not, but I would believe maybe individual collectives. I don't think that it's that way everywhere else, which is why there's need for regulation. And there's also need for, even if there is regulation, you need to set up as an athletic department of, look, you need to let us go get the players that we want to go get. And when we identify those people and you come in, that's where the role is to do that and to help them through the collective, not, hey, I've got a kid down in Baton Rouge that I want you to go sign. Well, if he's not a fit, then, you can read on3.com all you want and see how good this kid is, but if he doesn't fit Ole Miss, then you don't need to get him.
All right. And Garrett, I just sent you a tweet. I know my hand was on. Here's Paul Catalina. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, this is good. So Ross Delinger, Senator Lindsey Graham, Utah is offering everybody on the team a new truck. There is no end to this. He goes on, of course, to discuss all of what's going on with the NIL. Paul Catalina's response at the top. Paul?
I would like Senator Graham to explain the difference, or please clarify the differences between an NIL collective and a super PAC. I have plenty of time for this clown to tell me how it's different. That the worst thing that's happening is some kids in Utah are getting a truck. Do you know what kind of awful things some super PACs represent? They're giving you millions of dollars to make sure you can dump crap in the water. Let's be reasonable here, Lindsey. And I'll get into a short political soapbox here. It is so strange that right now we are asking people to regulate us and regulate our lives. In their line of work, they are regulated none. They don't have term limits. They can trade stocks with secret information and have no punishment. Like, there are many things that Congress can do that we're not allowed to do, and we're asking them, these snakes and clowns, to regulate us. I'm sorry. Go jump off a bridge. I mean, it's just...
I'll ask you a question.
yeah.
If that was a Democratic senator, would you feel the same way?
I feel the same way about all of them.
I want to make sure before somebody asks that question.
All
Okay.
of them.
All right.
There are 435 or whatever there are members in the House, and there's 100 senators, and none of them are working for us right now because we don't make them. And it is ridiculous what we have let Congress fall into. And we have people like this asking questions like this. When you ask them one about their own lives, Lindsey Graham and all these senators have been in these huge super PAC meetings with taking money for their campaigns. It doesn't matter who they get the money from. They just do it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen when you give a kid a truck? He's going to have a truck for 6 months while he's playing college football? Come on.
Yeah, it's all dirty, and that's why I have so little interest in this just dog and pony show. And I don't even know if that's the correct term for it, really. I think that there are things trying to, get done, and I think there's some good intentions because I do think that some people see the writing on the wall as far as the damage this could do to the overall landscape, not to Ohio State or to Michigan, but to, those who aren't blessed with hundreds of thousands of alumni and billions of dollars and all of that. I agree with Paul. It's crooks talking about, things that they're just, I don't think, I think it's a bunch of garbage, like he pretty much just said. And the Utah thing, those are leases.
Yep.
They don't even own those trucks.
As Brock said in the chat
They don't
room,
get those trucks for life. So those are leases while they're football players, and then once they're not, those trucks are going back to the dealership. So it's not even like that even great of a deal, honestly. It's great for the time you're there, but then you're eventually going to have to pay for it. It's not as though they just gifted that away. And I did wonder when I saw the video of did they make people aware of that, or did they tell them after the fact? Because, man, what a letdown of here's this brand new truck. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is a lease, and it's not really yours unless you find a way to pay it off. But, yeah, I think this whole thing is just such a crock. I mean, honestly, we're getting up in arms, a bunch of just crooks over kids getting leased trucks for playing college football. I think it's just ridiculous.
From Brock, preach Paul. Wet blanket, 100% Paul. Very well said, Paul. From Brock also, let's see. Graham is certainly one of the massive clowns. This is great stuff. Preach Paul. Howdy, everyone. I can't even get to them all. There's a bunch. There's a couple. Senator Graham is primarily concerned with bombing. Preach, brother, all around the way. And then more and more and more preaching the truth. Paul, absolutely well said, every one afternoon. And so there you are with that.